Hey guys, Justin here from the Camera Life. It is Friday, August 30th, and today I'm out again with the R5 Mark II, but today we're actually going to be testing the 14-35 F4 lens. Not really testing, I'm just going to take some photos of this big old dredge and drag line that are some ruins just off the highway near where I live in Bendigo, Victoria. I've got this lens on loan from Canon Professional Services just for me to test out to see if it's something I want to add to my kit. I've actually got the RF15-35 2.8 in my backpack, as well as the little RF16mm 2.8. I'm going to do a couple of quick comparisons first, just put it on a tripod. I just want to see the difference in focal length, and then I'm going to climb up inside this thing and try and take a few creative shots. And lastly, when I get home, I might quickly poke through a few of the raw files from the three lenses just to see what they're like with and without profile corrections. The 14-35 apparently has some quite harsh profile corrections added, and I want to see what they look like when turned off and how it compares to the 15-35 and the 16 in terms of what you can get in the frame and how much vignetting there is. So with that, let's have a little play around. I'm excited to explore and see what's inside. We're running out of light, sun's almost going down, but I'm going to quickly set up the tripod and take a few shots from exactly the same position with the three lenses, and then I'm going to climb up into this thing and see if I can get a little bit more creative. Hello. Shooting in black and white just because it's really fun. I really just want to see what the perspective difference is like on the three lenses. So we might take it down to 50th of a second, 5.6. Let's go ISO 400. 50th of a second, 5.6. All right. Swap over to the 15-35. All right, exactly the same settings. And same settings on the 16. All right, so those images you just saw were all JPEGs straight out of camera. And you can see, as expected, 14mm, 15mm, 16mm. So the corrected images, which this, as I said, has profile corrections on in camera as we're shooting JPEGs. I'm also shooting RAWs as well alongside. But as you can see, the corrected JPEGs, even after the profile corrections, the 14 is still wider than the 15, still wider than the 16. I've seen some people on YouTube say that, you know, the 14-35 and the 16 aren't as wide as they're advertised because of the corrections. That's not true. They're actually even wider than advertised, but then those corrections do crop down a little bit and stretch things to get rid of some of the distortion and vignetting on the extreme edges. We'll have a quick look at the raw files at the end and hopefully check that out. All right, I'm going to get up inside this thing and let's take some photos. Wow. Love these gears and cables. I think that's exactly the sort of thing I was hoping for. Looks like there was some copper thieves in here. Pretty cool. Bring it down a bit. It's a shame about the penis on the side, but you know, you get what you get. And up this old equipment through the window. Let's get these controls. Go for a little walk before it gets dark. Check this thing out. Must be the dredge. Do you think I could walk along this very, very small pieces of wood? Yeah, I didn't think so. Be fun to get out on that thing, but not today. If I can do something here with the reflections of the trees and the water. Not really. Maybe we'll switch to colour. Not really the right time of day to be shooting this thing. Very busy. Busy background, all similar colours. Just a snapshot. Not a photo. Well, that was fun. This lens balances really nicely on the R5 Mark II, a little bit lighter than the 15-35 2.8, that's for sure. And I really enjoyed shooting with it. I'm gonna head home now and check how the RAW files compare across the three lenses, the 15-35, the 16, and this 14-35 F4. And let's see what they're like with and without profiles corrected. Okay guys, I'm back home. I've loaded the RAW files into Lightroom. Let's have a look and see what they're like with and without profile corrections. Really interested to see how much digital processing is required to improve the 14-35. I know the 16 I've played with in the past requires a lot. Let's open up the 14-35 file first and have a look. Okay, so obviously the sky's blown out in this image. I'm not really worried about that. That wasn't the point of this test. It obviously is also nice and sharp. So it is definitely an L series lens. It looks awesome. The quality's great. But what happens when we turn off the profile corrections? Boom. There, that's the extreme vignetting we've heard about from other people on the internet. Now, obviously, the basically black areas in the corner are getting completely removed with the profile corrections. You can even see over here on the far left, I wonder if I can zoom in here. You can see how much of the fence we're losing with that profile correction. But this is, the corrected image is still 14 millimeters, because here, if we go over to the 15-35, this is it with profile corrections, and this is it without. Now, it barely changes. It's obviously a very well-corrected lens straight out of the box, and that is why it's bigger, it's heavier, and it's way more expensive. It is an exceptional lens, but you can see this is it at 15 millimeters with profile corrections. This is the 14-35 at 14 millimeters with profile corrections. It is definitely a wider lens. There's more space at the top, more space at the bottom. It's taking a lot more of the frame. So if you need that wide angle lens, and sometimes I do want something a little bit wider than 15, I think this thing is really cool. Now, the interesting one is we jump over to the 16, which, so just to step through these, 14, 15, 16, much tighter field of view. Those 1 millimeters at the wide angle lens makes a much bigger difference than they do in a telephoto lens. But let's turn the profile corrections off on this one. Interesting. It's almost as wide as the 15 without profile corrections. Let's compare those two. So 16 millimeter, 15 millimeter. It's like the 16 is actually bringing in more of the foreground and more of the fence. So it's actually wider, and it doesn't have that really harsh vignetting on the edges that the 14 has. It does still have some pretty harsh vignetting though. So we're back over on the 16 now. It's got pretty harsh vignetting. So what we can do is turn the profile corrections on, leave the vignetting correction on, dial down the distortion. Look at how much more we can pull in. Let's do that on the 14 and see how that affects it. So profile corrections on, distortion down, but it's getting those really, like, essentially black vignette cropped edges. So we can only really do it just a tiny bit. Dial it down from 100 to 90, and even then you're getting a little bit in the corners. So I don't know. I find this stuff super interesting. This 16 millimeter RF is really, really cool for the price. Like, going from 16, it's got that kind of fisheye look when you dial the distortion out, but I actually really enjoy it. It is a different look to this 14. Fun for action sports, super lightweight, and much, much cheaper than these other two lenses. In the middle, obviously, we've got the 15-35, and it's a winner, but it's expensive and heavy. So I don't know. I don't know if you guys got anything out of that. This was a test I wanted to do anyway, so I thought I'd make a video out of it. It was fun to do. If you have any questions, throw them down below, and otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one.